It's like spongy. It's like a little mini cake. Do you sometimes eat to feel better or relieve stress? Do you find yourself sometimes reaching for snacks or food when you're clearly not hungry? If your answer is yes, then please stay tuned, because in this video I'm going to share with you 5 steps that you can take in order to stop eating when you're not hungry. Hey, I'm Lisa. Welcome to Better Slimmer You. If you're not a part of the Foxy family yet, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, as well as make sure to put the like underneath this video in order to let YouTube know that you enjoyed it. Also, as always, don't forget to comment down below and let me know what do you think on this topic, and if you ever experienced emotional eating or eating when bored, and how did you overcome this problem. First, let's identify what emotional eating is. So according to Google, emotional eating is actually a disorder, and it is eating as a way to suppress or soothe negative emotions such as stress, anger, fear, boredom, sadness, and loneliness. Major life events, or more commonly the hassles of daily life, can trigger negative emotions that lead to emotional eating and disrupt your weight loss efforts. Emotional eating can also be defined as eating that is motivated by both positive and negative emotions. We eat when we are happy, sad, angry, out of habit, bored, and of course as a way to celebrate special occasions and holidays, or just because it's Friday. Those that have experienced the vicious cycle of dieting understand that the process of calorie restriction leads to a lapse in nutritional judgment, guilt, and despair that inevitably leads to emotional eating. So how do you stop this cycle so that way you can begin to eat to live and not live to eat? Step 1. Identify your personal triggers. Before you do anything to reduce or eliminate emotional eating, I suggest that you identify your personal triggers that cause you to eat when you shouldn't. Ask yourself, what situations, feelings, or places make you reach for comfort food? You need to completely assess your current situation before you can start making plans to change. For instance, if you find yourself munching at work as a way to alleviate stress that you're experiencing, you are much more able to create an action plan to avoid that happening, right? If you tend to snack in front of the TV at night, you can take the steps necessary to reduce that situation in particular. So step 1, you need to identify when exactly are you eating when you're not hungry. Step number 2, how does it make you feel? Once you're aware of the trends that are happening in your eating behavior, it's time to check those pesky feelings that are getting in the way of our weight loss and getting in shape ultimately. It is important to note that emotions drive our behavior and provide us with the information that we need to express about what we need or don't need from others. The trouble comes when we don't express what we're feeling and self-soothe with food or alcohol or shopping or gaming or sex, yada yada, drugs, alcohol. So what I want you to do is really just check in with yourself and your feelings. What are you feeling before, during, and after eating whatever food you're reaching for when you're clearly not hungry? Just stop yourself and check in with yourself and really understand what is going on deep down inside. Why is it exactly that you're reaching for that specific food right now, or craving that food right now, and why now, right? And what are you experiencing? What are you feeling deep down inside before, during, and after eating that thing? It is really important to know, because if you, for example, reach for that chocolate bar and you're like, I shouldn't really eat it right now, and you eat it anyway and it makes you feel sick afterwards. So that's what you should either write down on paper or, just register as a mental note to yourself how you're feeling before, during, maybe you're like, are you eating with guilt or what's happening there? Like, really get deep down inside and check exactly how you're feeling. Are you really enjoying that chocolate bar or not really? What's the taste like? Maybe the taste is good, but you're not experiencing that pleasure that you should be experiencing because you're eating out of guilt, because you know that you shouldn't be eating, you're not hungry, and maybe you're over your calories for the day. So really check in with yourself and see what's going on deep down inside. And also, how are you feeling afterwards? Are you feeling ashamed? Are you feeling disgusted with yourself? Are you feeling heavy? How's your digestion? How's your stomach feeling? What's going on? So you really have to pay attention to these things. Step number 3, accept it. Once we have outlined the relationship between our emotions and eating patterns, the hardest part may be to accepting those feelings without pushing them down with food. Human beings are very strategic when it comes to avoiding negative feelings. We will find anything to take our minds off of instead of dealing with them. The truth of the matter is, whether we deal with them today or sometime in the future, we're still going to have to deal with them. So why not now? So when the feelings come up while you're somewhere in the pantry reaching for some snack or whatever the case, stop yourself and check in. That will definitely help you to avoid maybe certain trips to the pantry, or if anything, because you might want to avoid those negative feelings later. So when those feelings come up and you find yourself running in the mad dash to the pantry, stop and check in with yourself and check those feelings and see how your body's feeling, and really think about the future, because you also need to accept the feelings that you're feeling in the moment. That's what I usually do, and that's how I overcame my own struggle with that, because I'm a human just like anybody else, and sometimes I do find myself mindlessly eating, but at least I know what's going on and I will not beat myself later on about that. So that's really important, because what happens sometimes, people give in to those cravings or whatnot, but then later on they think, okay, like since I had that piece of cake which had like 400 calories, I need to burn those 400 calories off later on, so I'm gonna make my workouts twice as long, and I'm gonna make myself work twice as hard and push myself to the max and blah 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 blah. Like, that self-talk needs to end. You have no idea how many people do that, and it's so wrong, and it's just like incredible. This behavior leads to more mindless eating, more emotional eating, and obviously it's just harming you in the long run. So that's why it's best to deal with it now, and you have to nip it in the bud right when it's hot, when you are experiencing something like that, and really either like grab a notebook, write these things down, what you're feeling and stuff like that, or just make a mental note so that way you don't forget. I'm the type of person that I cannot really have diaries. They don't really do much for me, so I usually just take a mental note. And when similar things come up in the future, what I do is I check in with myself and I catch myself like thinking about what's going on, and is it contributing to my body goals, my health goals, or not? And if the answer is clearly negative, then of course I'm going to think of other ways how I can occupy myself in order to prevent that negative self-talk and guilt that comes afterwards. Because guilt is very sneaky, which leads me to step number 4. Practice the alternatives of keeping yourself busy. It can really be anything. You can call up a friend or go work out, go figure, right? What I sometimes do is I use the waist trainer belt, and I kind of like squeeze my waist in that thing for like 30 minutes to an hour. And of course, if you've seen some of my past videos, I do like to go a little extra mile, and I put like gels and wrap it up and then put the waist trainer on, and I stay like that for like up to an hour, 30 minutes to an hour. And during that time, obviously you cannot really eat because you're so like squeezed in, your stomach is like shrunk, and like literally if you were to try to like have some piece of food or a piece of cracker or something you're craving during that process, you would probably even not eat a lot because you're just so like squeezed in, if you know what I'm saying. Sometimes I drink hot tea during that waist training process if I'm really like struggling with putting out with my hungers and stuff like that. But usually, like, if I catch myself wanting to eat out of boredom, that's when I know, okay, like now is the time for me to do something to beautify myself, whether it be the waist training routine or teeth whitening. That's like literally you're like plugging your mouth and you literally cannot even drink anything. But like when I am wearing the waist trainer, if I really do experience some severe boredom, like hunger signals, what I would do is I would just like make myself like a cup of green tea or herbal tea, and while the waist trainer is working with all the gel and stuff like underneath, I would just like sip on my tea and either check emails or do some like work stuff or just relax and watch TV, like just get my mind completely off of like anything and just focus on something random, you know, just like really treat it as like me time or relaxation time. Other methods that help people is maybe going for a walk or reading a book or something that will take your mind completely off of mindless eating. I've seen people do push-ups. I mean, that's kind of like a form of a workout, but in my eyes, in my opinion, a workout is something that like you block off time for, and it has a warm-up, you know, the workout itself, like the main workout, and then you do a cool down, and usually it's like anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour type of situation. But I've seen people just like do crunches or just randomly, just like for a little bit, maybe like 20 or 30 crunches, or they do a few push-ups, or what I've seen people do in order to combat those like hunger impulses is they start cleaning. That's another thing. Just like anything that will get your mind off of eating. If you're really like, if you really know for sure that, you know, this is not the type of hunger that you really should like eat dinner, if this is not the usual time for you to start like feeling hungry and you have a long time to go before dinner, that's when you should really occupy yourself with something else. Something helpful and healthy for your mind or for your environment or something. And the last step is, of course, eat mindfully. If you already caught yourself in a situation where you can't, anything that you do just like doesn't even help you with that craving or whatever the case may be, you just can't stop thinking about that chocolate bar, or there is nothing you can do in order to stop you from reaching for, I don't know, like having some chips or crackers or some type of maybe like food. If that's the case, if you tried everything and you just cannot, it just like it controls you at this moment and you are just gonna like give up and go ahead and like eat that, whatever it is that you're craving, fill in the blank, then what I would like for you to do is to actually get that thing. For example, if you're craving something sweet, let me get them. For example, I have this chocolate bar. I actually have never tried it before. I've tried chocolate from Kinder brand, and I got them today in my local market. So for example, I'm craving this and I'm using my entire willpower, everything in my body. I just look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be eating it right now. Like, for example, I track everything I eat and I already used up all of my calories. So anything that I eat from this point forward until I go to sleep will lead to being stored as fat, right? I would certainly not want that, but I just want this piece of candy. I just want this piece of chocolate, and I'm having this like enormous sweet tooth right now and it's really hard for me to like battle it. So what I would do is I'm like, okay, sometimes what people tend to do, like I mentioned before, they tend to think, okay, so this candy bar is 250 calories, so I would need to burn this 250 calories later by exercising longer or doing like a harder workout or whatever the case. I tried that approach before, and what happened was nothing happened. It actually made me feel worse even after working out. So that's why I decided, you know what, even if I do find myself craving and reaching for this piece of chocolate, or for you it may be something else, some different maybe kind of food, I'm just using it as an example. What you should do is don't think about the future. Get in the now, right now. Get into the present and really enjoy it. Just take this piece of chocolate and like maybe smell it. Oh, I can smell the chocolate through this wrap, and you slowly unwrap it like a Christmas present. So you basically just practicing the power of now. Remember how if any of you read that book, how Eckhart Tolle was like doing things with a glass of water? It's kind of the same principle. It's just we're using candy bar. Oh my gosh, really just like do everything really slowly and enjoy every single bite. on every single step of the way. This is actually really good. Savor this piece of candy in your mouth. So good. But yeah, so like basically just really enjoy the piece of food to the fullest and be present and mindful while doing that. Mindful eating is all about being present and engaged with the eating process. Its origin actually comes from India and was taught by Buddha. The practice of mindfulness includes focusing on the present moment instead of the past or future. All about being aware and giving the present moment your absolute undivided attention. Free from cell phones, free from TV screens or anything else. So please take your time and enjoy savoring and enjoying every single bite while eating slowly instead of rushing to the finish line. And obviously, as you finished your piece of candy or whatever food you like or whatever food you were reaching for at that moment, completely forgive yourself, accept the moment, accept the feelings, accept that it happened, and just move on. Start over fresh as if you never even experienced it. Don't beat yourself up. Just let it go. Okay, it happened. I had my candy. It's in my stomach now. Those calories are in my body, but that's okay. It's absolutely okay. Just continue with your day as if that moment never even happened. That way you will not beat yourself up. The guilt will not be there, and you are more likely to get back on track and not hinder your weight loss goals, which is really, really, really important. This wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it, and it helps out my channel a lot. Also, if you're not a part of the Foxy family yet, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, I really want you to comment down below and let me know what triggers you to sometimes eating when you're not hungry, and how do you deal with those types of situations. I really enjoy chatting with you guys down in the comment section, so please don't forget to leave me a note down there. Practice these 5 steps and you will absolutely put a stop on emotional eating once and for all. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Lisa Fox. See you next time. Bye.